Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for joining our automation webinar today. We're going to just give a few minutes to let some attendees arrive. I don't have any elevator music to play, but I'm sure we can all imagine some.
We'll wait a few more minutes.
Okay. I'll let you be the guide on that, Murat.
Sure.
There's probably still some people at concessions.
Okay, yeah, a few more people joining.
Yeah, I think we've been enough time, so we can go ahead and get started. Again, thank you everyone for joining our automation webinar today. Hosts will be Murat Alice and me. My name is Kyle Hendrickson. We'll introduce ourselves a little bit later. First, just a little bit of housekeeping. We are recording this webinar, and we will be sending an email with a link to download or watch the recording after the webinar is complete. Questions can be submitted anytime during the webinar through the Zoom portal questions box. You can also use the chat if you feel more comfortable with that. That's fine. We'll be monitoring that as well. And at the end of the webinar, we'll send some links to send feedback to us, including my email address. And I'm very personally interested in getting as much feedback as possible. So please do. A little bit about Softtech before we get started. Probably the most important thing is, what is Softtech? Softtech is a company that was founded to service the window and door industry. We're not a company that was doing other things and ventured into fenestration. We were founded specifically to service the window and door industry. We've been in business for over 33 years. We have over 100 employees. We have 6 locations globally, and we have customers all over the world. Just as an example, I am in Chicago in the United States, and my colleague and co-host Murat is in Istanbul, Turkey. So we're on different continents already. What do we do? Softtech designs and supports software that allows companies that build windows, doors, curtain wall to configure and price and obviously quote their products. That is our core focus. That is what we've always done. Partnership. That's probably a good point to tell a little bit about myself. My background is mostly in the machine industry. I worked for a couple of different companies that built machines specifically for window and door manufacturing, aluminum extrusion machining centers. When I first started in the industry over 16 years ago, already most of the customers that I was introduced to were either building windows, doors, curtain wall. And I had never in my life ever considered what that industry might be like. It's funny because everywhere you go through a door. Anytime you're in building, you're looking out through a window. So it's sort of funny that entire industry, unless you're on the inside, seemed pretty invisible. Funny thing, when I first started, terms like weep hole come up. I mean, I was a machinist at the time, so I'm hearing I have to make a weep hole. What is a weep hole? But anyway, my point is, our background is in this industry. We're not just partners in the industry, we're a part of the industry. So keep that in mind as we go through our presentation. There's just a little bit of recap on me. 16 years in the industry, mostly in the machine side. I've been involved with full automation, anthropomorphic robots servicing machines, to very simple just installation of a 3-axis CNC machining center or a single head saw with a measure stop. It's sort of an area of interest for me. I'm a gearhead by nature. I built my own first car as a teenager, and I like to get grease underneath my fingernails. So please share your stories about automation, and please reach out to me just to talk about it in general. My co-host today is Murat Alice, and I will let him introduce himself. As I said before, he's in Istanbul, Turkey. And with that, I hand it over to you, Murat.
Thank you, Kyle. I'm working with Softtech for about 15 years and in the industry about 18 years. I was originally a civil engineer, but became part of the software world as well. So it's within the fenestration industry, we are on the software part of it. I work with our different teams over the years, mainly on database development side, adding products in V6 so that our customers can utilize most of it. And recently, I'm also supporting our teams on presentations and webinars to give you more information about our software. And today, I will be showing the V6 part of our automation module and demo. Also, what I would like to mention that like within the whole Softtech, database implementation part, machining is also an important part of it. Some customers, they may not be, right away going to the automation, but eventually everyone will be going to that route, and we are happy to support our customers on the automation side. So thank you, Kyle.
Thanks, Murat. Okay, let's get started. We're here to talk about automation. Where does that begin? It begins with the configuration of your product. It begins with the quotation of the product. And that's what Softtech's V6 does. V6 is a quotation generation, a configuration tool that automates the process of designing the product in the sales cycle. What does this do? It makes a consistent bill of material and a consistent and accurate pricing a standard for your sales team. It streamlines the process, makes it faster, it makes it more convenient, and it makes it more efficient. So there's less effort and less time invested. The information required to build your products can be organized in a single location or database. That's what V6 does. It eliminates the risks associated with spreading this type of information over multiple locations. And it also puts the information in a logical and convenient place from which to drive machinery and processes that take place on your shop floor. So when we talk about automation, configuration is the first step in creating an automated production environment. I talked about V6 a little bit. V6 is Softtech's automation for configuration. What can we do once we have all of our data in V6? When we're able to easily configure, we can also easily send that information to the shop floor, whether it's to equipment or to various other control devices, whether they be tablets that are just sharing information with workstations, or saws or CNC machines, or entire fabrication cells. That's the beauty of it. The data is controlled in just one source. So accurate data in that source means accurate results on your shop floor. We can send from V6 to saws with electronic cut length or miter angle control, CNC routers, which many, if not most of you have. We're talking just standard 3, 4 axis, some even 5 axis machines, although I hesitate to call a 5 axis machine a router. And then we can also send to CNC milling and cutting centers. These would be machines where you load raw bars onto the machine, and then that raw bar is fed through a milling and cutting station with finished fabricated pieces coming out the other side. We can also work with other equipment, various equipment, crimping equipment, for example. Some of you may have experience with automated crimping equipment. We can drive those types of machines as well. One of the things I would like to talk about today, though, in fact, I encourage questions and conversation at the end of the presentation, is opportunities to drive equipment in general. We're going to show you what we have on the shelf in terms of automation and how we can drive CNC machining centers and saws, but it really shouldn't stop there. The conversation about automation should carry to any process on your floor, whether there's a machine involved or not. Even if it's just people with manual tools, how can we automate the information that flows to them? Let's talk about that. Reach out to me after the presentation or in the Q&A section of the presentation as well. Either way, though, V6 is where the information that is used to drive automation begins. Okay, so we're going to demonstrate what we have in V6 available for existing V6 users to drive CNC machines and saws. I'm going to ask Murat in a minute to share his screen, and he's going to go through the process, assuming that automation has been fully set up, fully implemented, and is up and running in a as perfect as possible optimized mode. The push a button and everything works just fine format of automation, which we're then going to go back and show all of the details behind how you can push buttons and make your machines run. So with that, Murat, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I invite you to share your screen. Murat's going to start, I think, with the saw first, right?
Yes, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways we automate. We can send information to a saw and then separately to a CNC machining center, or we can send information to CNC machining centers that have sawing and machining capabilities. Murat's going to start by showing exporting data from V6 just to saws. I'll hand it over to you, Murat.
Thank you. So this is a job in V6. So I will just open that job. And this is a simple storefront. One elevation only to keep it simple. This is my elevation. I will come back later on to just show you how I will build quickly that elevation as a part of the process. But right now, just you know that this is my elevation. And this is how it looks, the system here. It's a simple storefront with a single glazing. Okay. So this job, having only one item in the bill of material, if I go here, I can see a list of all the extrusions and hardware and other components. Since we will do the saw output, I'm focusing on the bill of material right now for the extrusion. You can see it's been already optimized. We have the 6.5 meter as a standard stock length, and these are the bars. So I click this button here for the saw link and pick the job. You can see some machines here being picked, can be picked, and we can increase that list if needed, but just I will pick the Mekal, and this is the path that it will save the the machining file. I click OK. It's sending the optimization information data to the machine, creating the file to send to the machine. And you can see here, that's date exactly. Now I created this one. I double click. And this is the format needed for that particular saw machine. And I mean, if I click to some other, it can be completely different format, looking like quite opposite of this, because again, all the different saw machines will need a different format. So, and if something is not listed, we can quickly add that in the list and make another option for our customers for the future work. So that's how we will send the machining, the cutting information to the saw machine. Again, we can easily create a cutting list as well with the bars and how you optimize and cut them. If you would do that, it's a different type of automation. We create the paperwork for you that you can proceed there. Again, facilitating the shop floor work. But ideally, yeah, we could just send that full optimization without any paperwork, create the file, and send it to the saw machine. So this is what I showed right now. And similarly, that same job, we can also send to the automation module. So I click this button this time.
If I can interrupt just a minute, Murat.
Sure. Yeah.
One thing I want to make sure we don't miss covering is when we talk about things like automation module and saw link, what we're talking about is just development tools that have been built in order to connect the data that's in your database to your shop floor. Because we don't mention or show something doesn't mean it can't be done. Most of our customers have a custom database. V6 is, I think, known in the industry for being a very customizable platform. We can do the same thing with automation. So for instance, if you come to us and say, we were at your webinar and we watched the recording and we saw in your saw link that our saw manufacturer wasn't included in that saw link. We couldn't check a box to select our brand of saw. That's not an issue. We can develop a post processor that will output to that saw. Or maybe it's not a saw. Maybe it's a different type of equipment, like a crimper I mentioned earlier. As long as we can work with the manufacturer of that piece of equipment, we can develop an exchange with that equipment in order to drive that equipment. And what Murat just showed was an existing tool that we have to drive specifically saws. He's now moving on to our tool for driving CNC milling machines. And I'll hand it back to you, Murat.
Thank you, Kyle. So this is our integration tool. It is showing the job numbers here. I only had one job in that database, so this is the one. You can see it's optimized already. I can also select what type of millings and what type of extrusion I want to send, but right now I don't go to details. I just want to send the whole job as it is. So I click this button, and then I say open in automation module. Okay, so then it will just open the module. So you can see this is our job being exported. And if I click each and every profiles here, you can see for each profile, the bar length, that's 6 meters on this one. And 6.5 meters was the setup, I think, for some other. So when I zoom to one of them, you can see all the millings. The way it works, the system, since we already set up all those points where the reference points will be, the machining, and then associate them with what we call macros, the system knows the same product, the same type of frame being exported to the automation module, it automatically puts the correct milling and figure out what type of machining, milling will be there, whether it's a slot or some other operations, a drill. So you can see all those drills being automatically created. So as what we do next, you can see here, there are a list of machines. So I want to pick this machine. This is a 5-axis, which will also do the cut for the bars. And what I will do, I will just do the tool assignment here. So I click this button.
Murat's actually getting into more detail than a typical automation process would involve. He's explaining a little bit about what's happening behind the scenes to make this possible. If given a no need for modification to the work, once it's sent from V6 to the automation module, then it really is a click-through process. What he's showing is the fact that in this process, there's an opportunity for anyone in production management, all the way down to the person supervising the machine, to review this process and check it for quality reasons, and to manipulate it if necessary for quality or other reasons. But ultimately, assuming that a job is ready to be sent to the machine and the machine is ready to receive the job, it is truly a click-through process, and that can even be automated. I've worked with clients that automate this process that's being shown here. It happens behind the scene, based on a barcode scan, for instance. So just we can get a little bit into the weeds, and we're going to intentionally do that when Murat gets through this phase of his demo. But I just wanted to point out that much of this is background. The process in its ideal state is a very simple one. Back to you, Murat.
Thank you, Kyle. So you can see all the tools assignments done here. And in work without tool, the quantity is 0. That means all the assignments done properly and there is no warning. So I can just confirm. I'm not doing any change. It will just prepare all the clamping positions, optimize, and create the optimized simulation. So let's see, it will come quickly. And once we receive that, you can see that's there with the order like this. This is how the machine will operate throughout the different profiles. And if I want to generate the NC file, I click this button and it's done. So right now I have the file being generated. So I can go here and open this, show you. So you can see how an export look like. And this export can be different format and completely different file type based on the machine.
This is the file your machine sees. Everything we've shown up to this point is part of Softex automation module. This file goes to your Illumitech, goes to your MEG, goes to your Mechal, goes to your FOM, whichever brand of machine you have. We have a post processor that delivers the information that machine needs. The software that's proprietary to that machine reads this information and then takes over from that point to control your machines.
So that's how we do the full process. So we started with a job in V6, exported here with the ChemLink software. We send that information to automation module. From here, we did the tool assignments and then created the NC file. So that's the process.
Murat, can you click the drop down for the machine?
Sure.
Again.
So you can see.
Yeah. This is just a selection of different machines we put together for this presentation. A typical shop I mean, in my experience, you'll have one or two brands of machines and numerous models of those machines. So you might see in your shop, if you're in a Lumitech shop, you'll see SBZ 140, SBZ 151, SBZ 628, SBZ 122. If you're an Emoji shop, you'll see Phantomatic, you'll see Comet, you'll see Satellite, you'll see Quadra. So that's the purpose of this, is the ability to send to whichever machine you choose on your shop floor the work that's to be done. And it's flexible. You can, we all know this never happens. You never have a machine go down, but it's handy in that circumstance. You might send to a machine, you get partially through the work to be done, and that machine for some reason has a problem. You can go back into here, select a different machine, and post to that machine. So there's a lot of flexibility and controllability in this as well.
Yeah.
Is there any questions at this point? Other than Paul's question, will it export G code? You know what? Let me expand on that. Yes, is the direct answer, but more importantly, it will export whatever data the machine manufacturer software needs. The only thing that will stop us from communicating with a certain machine is if that machine's builder won't work with us, which we've never experienced. So the data that defines your product is in Softtext v6. The data that's necessary to make a machine work is similar, because all machines work using essentially Cartesian coordinates and information about what happens at those coordinates. That information exists in v6. We just need to know what format the machine manufacturer needs that information in.
Kyle, there was one additional question from Paul in the chat that I answered that might be good for the group. If you want to comment on that.
Yeah, let me scroll up.
Okay, the optimization will cut an entire code with all of its items. Is there an automated way of sorting the cut parts and or making them for SMD location? Yeah, so typically we use the EMAR functionality, the grouping functionality, to group things together. Also, we can group by milling type as well, and accordingly send that job to the machine. Anything you want to add, Kyle, on that?
No, you're better equipped to answer that, because that's more of a v6 question than it is an automation module question.
Sure. And this machine.
Well, hold on, Murat. Expand into milling type, because I think that's important. Meaning, you could group things by, if you're doing just the strike side of a door leg, you can do all of those first, right? By that specific milling type. I think that's important.
Yes. Yeah, so here you can see in this database the basic milling types being created. Those types can be as granular as you want, very specific to the machining, and accordingly you would have option to send them or not. And not only for that, you can also exclude some of the extrusions if needed, and it will list all the extrusions that we are sending. You can see, and we can exclude some of them from that export if needed. And if I go back to this,
I'll let you finish, Murat.
Sure. And in this particular machine, the Elumatec actually it's creating not only the milling part, it's also doing the saw part. It's a 5-axis. So if once it's done, I will quickly go there. So in this particular example, you will put the full bar in the machine, and then the export will automatically adjust the clamps and then do the cutting and milling with the given order. So If I go to it's here, you can see the saw blades part is here, done. Also at the middle, we have some saw blade stuff here. So again, another option would be like to send that in a two different machine from the automation module. The bars for cutting goes to the saw machine, and then once the cutting is done, then the cut pieces are being machined in the machine, the CNC machine itself. So we have that option as well. Yes, Kyle.
Another interesting point that might relate to Paul's question a bit is, and this happens frequently, you've sent information to the shop floor and you've started cutting and processing material, and then a change is made or an error is found and it needs to be corrected. Some material has already been cut, but you need to re-optimize the entire project based on a correction or an adjustment that's been made. We have the ability to track the material that's already been processed and identify what is usable and what is not, and retain that and keep that separate so that we're not in the re-optimization process, we're not repeating work that's already been done. That might be somewhat relevant, especially in the real world.
Okay, so
did you want to share anything more on this topic, Murat? I actually have a question from the Q&A section.
Okay, sure. No, we covered this one.
The question is, then I'll just read it. I have older routers at my facility that use Windows XP. They are not connected to my network because our IT security policies don't allow Windows XP. Is there a way I can automate these machines? Yes, you can still work with equipment that's not, we'll call it not networkable. It's not the most desirable solution, because ideally you want to have machines that are current in their technology, but you can drive them. And the way that we recommend doing it also applies to modern machines. And that's to have a modern workstation computer that is located near your machines on your shop floor. And that computer can be, something that's purchased at a big box shop, Best Buy, whatever, for not a lot of money, and can be kept updated and can have whatever software is installed that you need installed on it to manage production. It can also have the machine control software installed on it and any proprietary machine software that's handy to have as well. And from that computer, you drive the machines in the most secure environment we can do with an older example, Windows XP machine, would be to use a flash drive to port the information from that workstation computer to the machine. I know some clients who have, it's more risky from a security standpoint. And again, this is something that you have to make your own IT decisions. Who will, like, RS-232 connect to an old machine from that shop floor computer and then have some kind of additional security in place for that workstation computer. It's a handy way to do things, and it allows, even for the modern machine, let's say you buy a brand new CNC, the computer that's attached to that CNC, and I'm speaking from 16 years of experience, you don't want to do anything on that computer except run the machine. You don't want to install any other software on that computer. And I'm talking about antivirus software. You keep the antivirus software that comes with the manufacturer. That computer has one task and one task only, and that's to make servo motors turn to make motion on a machine. And that includes a tremendous amount of safety concern, in addition to just efficiency and productivity. So really, it's not wise to use machine computers to do anything but drive the machine. It's why I've always recommended, and it's very common in the industry, to have what we call workstation computers that act as a hub to drive all of your CNC machines. I hope that answers the question. we have one more question. Have you run into a machine you cannot connect to automation? Yes. Any machine that cannot receive information, data, any kind of data transfer, whether it be network or transfer by disk, any machine that will not accept that cannot be automated. What can be automated is the process by which that machine is operated. So let's assume it's just a manual machine, a manual crimper, for instance. Obviously, that machine's not going to receive any data, but the operator to that machine is going to receive the data for what he needs to do on that machine. And he's either going to get that on a clipboard in a paper document, or on a screen at the workstation, whether it be a tablet or a fixed monitor, indicating what he needs to do. It may be interactive, or it may just be static. It really depends on the level of automation that's desired. So yes, we've experienced machines that cannot be automated, but it doesn't mean that the process at that workstation can't receive some automation. That's all I have for questions from the Q&A. Jim, did you want to add anything? I mean, you've been sitting watching, and do you have any input you'd like to give?
No, I just want to thank everybody that attended today. I want to thank you for your time. We all do, but please, questions, whether you want to type them out in the Q&A box or a chat box, or if you want to take yourself off mute and just ask a question, that'd be great.
Yeah, Murat, why don't you stop sharing your screen? I'll share the screen with contact information. Okay. And
sure.
We'll let people write that down. Anyone who joined us today is going to have an email with links to all this information.
Yeah, stop.
All right. Can everyone see my screen? Should be a 3D cam image. We sort of summarized all of this. My email is kyle.hendrickson@softtech.com. Feel free to reach out to me directly. It doesn't matter whether you're a customer or not. I'm happy to talk to you. Like I said before, I enjoy talking about and working with machines. I think with that, we'll say goodbye. Thanks for everyone for attending, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.